fire. Shout out to StreamYard with this fire intro music. Red button means we're alive. Some Casual Takes, episode 90, hosted by your boy, Steven Pepper, here to casually talk sports. I don't know how I'm going to adjust this intro music. I did it like a long time ago. I don't know when I should start talking or come into this intro music, but I like it. It sounds like more like a legit podcast. One day, this podcast is going to be a legit one. I actually take it so seriously. We have some intro music, and people listen to this. But this episode is brought to you guys, the good people at Nowhere. There's no one sponsoring this episode. Got some nice guests with us here today. Donnie is back for another episode, another Friday episode. And then we got Teo. Technically, this is not the first time you've been here, but the first show that you did with me, the file just wasn't working, and I just didn't upload it. And so this is like now your technical debut, praying this gets uploaded. So shout out to Donnie. Donnie first. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. You know, the games are this weekend. Got 2 games tomorrow. Got 2 games on Sunday. Dude, I'm looking forward to it. Like, I went 3 of 3 on my predictions, but still, I'm pumped about the games, man.
3 and 3 on the wild card predictions. I'll say this: last couple of years, especially last year, I don't think I've ever missed on a wild card series in like years. Last weekend was probably the worst picking of a playoff series, playoff weekend of my life. Teo, we're going to get into in a second, but Cowboys picked them. I picked the Browns defense. Both of those teams, I picked their defense, and they all got crapped on. Who else did I pick that I think was supposed to win?
Did you pick the Rams or just pick the Lions?
I picked the Rams. I should just pick the Rams to cover. I picked them to win outright. And I think everyone else I got right because the Chiefs was a layup. Like, unless you were overthinking that game, the Chiefs were a layup. The Bills are also a layup unless you were overthinking that game. And I believe I'm missing one more team.
Eagles, Bucks.
You
picked the Eagles.
I said the Eagles on the show, but then I picked the Bucks when I went to FanDuel. So I think I'll get that one correct. I slept on it because before the show, A.J. Brown was still questionable. But then the news came after the show, and then I was like, you know what, bro, this team is just ready to get packed up. And I didn't trust Sirianni. So, 500 record isn't terrible, but when you go perfect damn near the last couple of years, you expect greatness. And it's kind of like Teo's Cowboys. When you have such a great history in the past, you expect some level of greatness every year. And Teo, your Dallas Cowboys, I should have had you on last show, but I thought the Packers were just going to be not a layup because I thought this was going to be a close game with 2 great offenses. But at the end of the day, I trusted the Cowboys defense at home to make a couple more plays to win that game. And dear God, Teo, I know that game happened on Sunday, and it's Friday now. And we're going to talk about the divisional round picks. I don't want to live in the past with the wild card and break down that game. But since you're a Cowboys fan, dude, I need some thoughts, bro. I need some thoughts on this game. Like, what happened?
I got 2 words for you. Dan Quinn. Now, I'm not trying to inexcuse Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott for their meltdown as well. But let me just tell you this. In our 3 most important games versus the 49ers, this man gives up 42 points. Versus the Buffalo Bills, this man gives up 31 points. Versus the Green Bay Packers Sunday, he gives up 42 points. That's 38.5 points per game. This man has been the most overrated, fraudulent defensive coordinator in the National Football League. The reason why he's been getting all this praise is because we've been blowing out and shutting down horrible teams at home where we are giving up 11 points per game versus these teams. Bro, it's a 17-point swing when you go on the road. And I thought it was a road and home thing. No, it's not. It's because we played all the crappy teams at home. We played all the bad teams at home. Like, it was a complete meltdown. It was a complete failure from top to bottom, from offense to special teams. They didn't just whoop our ass. They kicked our teeth in. The Green Bay Packers went into Dallas and said, no. Hey, not only does Rodgers own this place, but yeah, we're gonna give Jordan Love we're gonna give him some ownership in this damn place now too. Like, you want to know another thing that's more embarrassing? And
let's hear it, bro.
Pod and everything, guys. The Green Bay Packers have more home playoff wins in AT&T Stadium than the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh my God!
That's
your team,
man.
bro.
That's an
Someone else has more wins in your house than your whole team does. And I remember when you last time around the show, although it wasn't uploaded, we were previewing the Dolphins Cowboys game, and I'm pretty sure I don't know who I picked, but I said, because this was following the Bills game, I was like, Teo, this defense, although it is talented, there's all pros across the board, and one of them didn't even play this year, but there's still all pros across the board. One is a former all pro. I said, this defense, although it's great, I thought Micah was going to win D-Boy in the preseason. I see talent in this defense, especially when they play at home. But I remember when Greg Olsen said in the Bills game, this defense is kind of built to play along with the offense. And if the offense doesn't acquire a quick early lead at home, this defense is a little fraudulent, because I think they thrive with their pick six, turnover-heavy secondary when their opposing offense is in a predictable pass, panic, need to dig out of a whole playbook. Whereas when you can mix in all these motions, play actions, Aaron Jones running, James Cook running, this defense is kind of in trouble. Micah Parsons can kind of get taken out of a game. Same with DeMarcus Lawrence and Deron Bland. If he's not getting pick sixes, dude, are you leaving people open? And Dan Quinn was leaving like tight ends wide open along the sideline. I was like, come on, dude.
Yeah, it was just a complete nightmare. And like one of the last few things I'll say about this too is in Dan Quinn's in 54 defensive snaps that the Dallas Cowboys played on Sunday versus the Green Bay Packers. 48 of 54 defensive snaps, we had 6 DBs on the field. That is just a recipe for disaster, which is why Aaron Jones just literally ate us up on the ground. You can't have like the inability, the way he refuses to adapt is mind-blowing. And like Donnie was kind of talking about it, let him go to Seattle. Please, Seahawks, take him away. Go and grab your head coach. We don't want him in Dallas anymore. He's overrated, and he is a fraud. Dan Quinn, just a fraud.
Well, Teo, I don't know how long you've been alive on this earth, but as a Cowboys fan, I'm sorry. I mean, every year you come in to say, this is our year. And I honestly, as long as I've been alive, I've never seen the Cowboys go to an NFC championship, but I never quite bought the Cowboys. But I said this year, you know what? I think this is the best team, not the 49ers in the NFC. I really think they could, if they somehow catch the 49ers on a bad day, go to a Super Bowl. And I think a lot of people although we kind of all in the back of our heads saw a little fraud, but this team was so talented, so good at home, NFC kind of weak, that we thought this team could be as successful as kind of what we all thought they were going to be in the last 30 years. And they just weren't.
The path and the foundation was laid out. Green Bay and potentially the Bucs or the Lions. And we win 2 of those games. A team that has won 16 straight games at home, 8-0 at the season, going up against a quarterback that has never played in a playoff game versus the youngest team in the National Football League, and to get boat raced, ass whooped, teeth kicked in, just an embarrassment to every person that puts that star on their helmet. They don't even – I have a new thing. They shouldn't even be allowed to have a star on their helmet until you clinch the playoffs. Then you put a star on the helmet, because you don't deserve to have that star on your helmet playing that type of dog shit football at home in a playoff game. I can go on and on. I'm going to leave it at that, though.
Don, do you have any quick things to say about the Cowboys' playoff loss before we move into some of these topics?
I thought Green Bay was definitely going to cover. I did. I thought Green Bay would cover. This was a hotter team. Jordan Love was playing I'll just say it, like an MVP candidate over the last 8 weeks. I mean, he was legit one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league over the last 8 weeks. People would talk about how young the team is and how inexperienced the team is and how untalented the team is. And I agree with 2 of those, but that last part I think is untrue. I think, yes, they don't have that dominant one at receiver, but this is a team that's okay, maybe not Dobbs cooks this day, but maybe Christian Watson does, or maybe Jaden Reed does, or maybe Tucker Kraft or Luke Musgrave does. This is a young, very talented team that I thought could maybe have a little bit of fight in them, but I just thought at the end of the day, Dallas just had more talent. They were the better coach team. They were the more talented team on offense and defense. We all knew how bad Joe Barry was over the last, season. I mean, this is a guy who was unanimously voted by fans as the worst coordinator in football. And then he goes out there against one of the 3 best offenses in the regular season in the Dallas Cowboys, who I said at the time was a little bit fraudulent. And when I say this, not in terms of the production. We all knew what the production was, but at the end of the day, this offense was very CD heavy reliant.
Yes.
And if you lock down CD, which is very hard to do, don't get me wrong. In fact, I'd say it's almost impossible. But there are teams out there who can do it. There are teams out there who do have a Jair Alexander, who do have a Jalen Ramsey, who
Yes.
do have a Pat Surtain, a Sauce Gardner. If you can get him down, this offense is relatively much easier to stop. And I think
Yes.
Green Bay did an amazing job at that. Joe Barry, hats off to you, man, because a lot of people are saying you should be fired right now. And you go out there against one of the better offenses in football in their home turf and do that. You got to give them respect, man. And it shocked me. I thought Green Bay would cover. No way in hell did I see Dallas losing that game. But all the credit to Jordan Love, man. I mean, I don't know how Green Bay does it. They just get a new guy every year. It's unreal. They just whip out these quarterbacks every year. And you just have to give your hats off to him because so many people hated that Jordan Love pick. I was one of the few people who didn't. I saw the potential. I saw the arm talent. I saw the mobility. I saw all this stuff. But I said, man, he's got a long way to go.
I got a question.
Hats off to Green Bay, man.
I got a question for you guys. Whose first playoff performance was more impressive, C.J. Stroud's or Jordan Love's?
We're going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
I personally would say Jordan Love, but we're going to talk about those two quarterbacks, their performances, how they're going to do also this weekend in a second. I want to keep it on Dallas because this week and even yesterday at the press conference, your coach, Teo, Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones is sticking by him, remaining him as the head coach. Jerry Jones says, quote, while we're all disappointed with the results on Sunday and our playoff record, I am 100% supportive of him as our head coach and ability to reach our goals. Now, Teo, I want to start with you first since this is your team. Do you agree with Jerry Jones running it back with Coach Mike McCarthy for the 2024 season?
Absolutely not, but I do not agree with this. I kind of want to hear what you guys want to say first, and then I'll kind of go off of it, but I'll just say at first, I absolutely do not agree with this.
I want
to see what you guys say, though.
I'll give my opinion on it because if you just listen to national sports talk, if you go on Twitter, and most Cowboys fans or Cowboys haters too have kind of united and all said, what the hell is Mike McCarthy doing still on my team? But if we're just going to be honest for a second, calm emotions down for a second, the Cowboys made the right decision. Like, can we just calm our emotions down just a little bit? Keeping Mike McCarthy for this season was the right move. The easiest thing to say when a team isn't at a place where you want it to be is, oh, you got to fire the head coach. Well, Mike McCarthy isn't helping himself. I mean, he's 1-3 in the postseason with the Cowboys, and this is a franchise that has been trying to get to the NFC Championship game for the last 30 years. And now you don't have to be, Teo, you don't have to be a loyal listener to me to know that when I call for coaches' jobs, it's just like a hobby. I do it all the time. But I think I'm fair when I do it because I always say if a coach isn't the heaviest weight holding your team back, then we need to evaluate the other areas and not be so quick to fire the head coach. And can I dissect the all-22 and find play calls, formations, clock management issues on McCarthy? Yeah. But when I watch that same film, I see a defense leaving people wide open and not adjusting to motion. Mike McCarthy doesn't handle defense. That's Dan Quinn. And a quarterback that is dropping back to throw every snap to the defense. Newsflash, America. If you fire Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott is still your head coach. So here are the facts. McCarthy has gone 12-5, 12-5, 12-5 as head coach for the Cowboys in 3 seasons. That is the second best record, if you didn't know, in the NFL during that entire span. 99.9% of franchises would do unspeakable things for that success. So let's just tone down our expectations just a tad. I understand it's the Cowboys. And since taking over as a play caller this year, McCarthy has this offense as the highest scoring unit in the league. And he's elevated Dak to his realistic ceiling. And I think when you do, and, you know, is McCarthy an S-tier coach? No. And your goal is to always have the best coach possible. But if you even fire McCarthy, I'm having a hard time believing there's a guy right now in the market who can fit these 3 requirements that the Cowboys coach needs. Number 1, could he actually get this squad to the NFC Championship game? Number 2, can he maintain one of the best offenses in the league? Because the offense is the most important part of the team. And number 3, which is very vital, is can he mess with Jerry Jones? And unless you have a guy in the market for that, then you're losing me. I get Mike McCarthy, time management, Mike McPenalty. Was there some questionable play calls, formations in the game? If you break down the film and you want to be like a scout, yeah, go ahead, go do that. But McCarthy doesn't control defense. Doesn't. Is he the one calling plays, having 170-pound linebackers trying to tackle Aaron Jones? No. That's Dan Quinn. Is he forcing passes to CeeDee Lamb? Yeah, did Mike McCarthy call those plays that turned to be interceptions? But he's not throwing the football. I just can't blame him because 12-5, 12-5, 12-5 is really good. Now, in 2 years, I'll roll him back for another year or so. But in like 2 years, if he becomes the number one issue, then of course. But you fire Jason Garrett, you fire Mike McCarthy. Now, Jason Garrett's not that good, but Mike McCarthy, Super Bowl winner, pretty good. You fire him as well. Dak's still your head coach. Dak's still your quarterback making $60 million, playing like a $30 million guy. Just saying.
I would say this, and the reason why I believe a lot of Cowboys fans obviously are going to call for his head, it's going to be, like you said, they have to emotionally come down and realize, hey, this is Mike McCarthy. Say what you want about him. This man has won 36 games over a 3-year stretch. That's the most wins in the regular season without reaching an NFC Championship game. Like, he's been absolutely incredible come regular season time. Having said that, though, you will never see a coaching free agency carousel like we are seeing right now. The coaches that are up for grabs, we're talking about Bill Belichick,
yes,
Jim Harbaugh, Ben Johnson for the Lions. I mean, the list goes on and on. Mike Vrabel. Like, that is why I think, including myself, we're like, hey, like, I love Mike McCarthy, but the coaches that I just named, like, if you bring in a Bill Belichick for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Obviously, people are going to question, can he mesh with Jerry? Yes. Obviously, that's that. You guys got me there, right? But I promise you, that defense is not going to play like they did on Sunday versus Green Bay.
Oh, he'll fix the defense. He will 100% fix the defense. Bill Belichick will.
Because here's the problem. This is what I'll say that really quick. And also too, as a head coach, this is what turns the fan base off on Mike McCarthy. When you go to the podium in your press conference and you say this team was unprepared, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This team was what are you talking? You had a week in the biggest playoff game and Dallas Cowboys. This was huge. This game was massive. This is the most important game for all the marbles, one and done. And you go to the podium and tell the media that this team was unprepared. And then a week later, after we just got the announcement that Jerry Jones is going to keep Mike McCarthy, and he goes to the podium to talk about the offseason and everything and says this is a winning program, like that's where the fan base just loses it with them. Because it's like, dude, you can't in one instance say we were unprepared after a playoff game. A week later, out of the playoffs, done, say we're a winning program.
I think part of the criticism on Dallas, and I know everyone's expectations are relative to their talent and history, but I feel like we have it's like the Yankees, where we just put a little too high of an expectation on a team because of their history. Like, damn, dude, they didn't go to the NFC Championship, although they should have. Like, can we stop looking back in the rearview mirror of the triplets in Dallas? Like, this team has to do it again. Like, dude, like, let's be honest. Now, is McCarthy, is he McVay? Is he Shanahan? No. But I think if you were to also fire him for one of those coaches, you would have to have, you have to be really confident you can sign him. Harbaugh, I don't think would come to Dallas. I don't know if he would, but you have to be confident that they don't take another job as well. Because you cut McCarthy, a dude pulls a 180 and goes to another squad, then you're stuck with a lesser coach possibly. And less coach means less continuity. You have to change it up again. Would you be willing to get a new coach, a new system? Could he maintain the best offense in the league? Who knows? Because Belichick sure as hell doesn't know offense. Now, he will fix that defense, I believe, better than Dan Quinn, because he always did a good job defensively post Tom Brady in New England, although his offense is really, really bad. But I don't know. It's also the Jerry Jones thing, too. This man was a GM, Bill Belichick, for a long, long time. Big personality, ego, pride at the podium, 6 Super Bowls in New England. Comes to Jerry World, where Jerry World is the number one guy. I don't know where it really fits. Donnie, what do you think about bringing back Mike McCarthy? Do you believe it was a good hire? Should they have went with someone else? I kind of just feel like it was the defense at Dak Prescott that lost him the game, and people are taking it out on the head coach because it's so easy to take out on the head coach.
There's nothing I can say that hasn't been said. That's what I will say. But my personal thoughts, I thought they should have moved off McCarthy and Dan Quinn. I thought they should have moved off both of them. However, I do think something that needs to be said. When you're moving off this many coaches, I think you need to look at the situation and say, are we going to keep being in denial with this head coach stuff? And maybe the coaches are at fault with this. Maybe they are. But there also comes, there comes a day where you have to realize, is this quarterback we have going to take us to that
Yes.
future? I love
Yes.
Dak. I think Dak's a top 10 quarterback. I love Dak. But is Dak the right fit for this team at this moment?
Again,
I
yes.
don't know about that.
Donnie,
he has 1 year left on his contract. He's going to be a massive cap hit. They're probably going to extend him, which I don't know if that's a good thing for the future, but it's going to happen whether we all decide it or not. I like Dak. He's a top 10 quarterback. But is he the guy that you want to say, we are going to win championships or a single championship? Because that's what all 32 teams are going to try to do. They're all trying to get a championship. Each team has a window. I think Dallas's window is still open. They're not particularly losing everybody. They're still going to have CD for cheap. They're still going to have Micah for cheap. But is Dak that answer for that Super Bowl window you have? I don't know.
So for this is what I'm going to say really quick about the whole Dak Prescott Super Bowl window. I'm going to say two things. One, it is going to be very hard to replace Dak Prescott. That's one. Like in the draft, there's no rookie that's going to come in and play at the level that Dak played last year or going forward in this Mike McCarthy offense. That's one. That's unrealistic to think that. Two, we can't really go out and trade for a quarterback. That's just not what Jerry's going to do. That's not what we know. We have not made a big splash play trading or in free.
Yeah, we're going to replace him with Kirk Cousins. Same guy.
Yeah, in years. But also another thing, I do want to throw this out here. And like I said, I'm very neutral on Dak. I do like him, but I do have the same questions as everybody else. Can he get us over the hump? But I will say this. There's two quarterbacks that have taken their teams to the Super Bowl after not doing it in their first 9 seasons with that team. Matt Ryan and Peyton Manning. Both have done it. So I'm not saying, obviously Dak, I would say, if you look at his career numbers, he has been he was an MVP candidate all season, but I think Matt Ryan's a great comp for Dak Prescott. And, I just don't really want to throw it out the window as can he have an outlier year where he could even do what he did similar this year and get us to a Super Bowl? I think so. I think he can without being this guy that's like elite. We see it all the time.
Yeah, I'll say it again. Just whenever it comes to firing coaches, because I have so many podcasts where I'm talking about this coach should be fired. Like I do, like it's a hobby. But you got to get the list out. List your issues of your team. If coach is like not 1 or 2, then we got to evaluate the other areas. I understand it's the easiest thing to fire a head coach over trading for a new quarterback, new running back, and such. But you have to guarantee me that the guy you fire McCarthy for will elevate this team higher than McCarthy already has. Because McCarthy, although he hasn't taken this team to NFC Championship, which you want to go, 12-5, 3 straight years is really good. Again, second best record in the league. McCarthy taking this team as the play caller to be the best offense statistically by points per game in the regular season. Got Dak, although albeit fluky quarterback year, to second team All-Pro, which is really impressive. And unless you can have a coach that replaces him, I think you've got to look at the roster and like, damn, we're just stuck. Like, damn. Like, look at Dak. Like, damn. Dak,
Yeah.
I think it's mostly Dak. I think it's Dan Quinn. I think you'd probably just hope Dan Quinn just leaves for a coaching job. I don't know if is this his last year? Is he a free agent guy or they got to fire him or something like that? Part ways.
Yeah. I think Dan Quinn. I think so. He did 5 head coaching interviews, and like I said, obviously we want to move into the divisional games because I know we are going pretty crazy long on the Cowboys stuff. I just will say this is the problem with like the whole thing with the Cowboy fans and everything is that everybody has seen it. This team has done basically everything you could do successfully, but win a Super Bowl. Like we have won 12, like you said, 3 straight 12-win seasons, bro. Like that is nuts. 36 wins over the last 3 years of outreaching with not even a Super Bowl, let alone an NFC Championship.
That's
game.
a winning franchise in my opinion.
So it's like the hardest. Like
says.
said, there's no real like replace. Like we're trying to figure out what's gonna fix this when it's like we're kind of it's just a choke job. Like it's
Yeah.
not really you fix it. It's like you kind of have, it's sad, but you have to run it back and just hope that when we get into that moment again, this team doesn't choke, which every Cowboys fan is going to just turn, like they just will hate hearing that. And me too. I hate even saying that, but you can't really, there's no replacements you could do to put up the production that we've done.
And before we move on to divisional round, I know some people like to say if you do things over and over again and expect different results, it's insanity. Well, dude, if you go 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, you kind of just give it one more season. Let's revisit the offseason of 2025, and then I'll be like, okay, McCarthy has to go. We can't pay Dak. Just give it one more season. Just one more. You've gone 12-5 3 years in a row. You kind of need – that's some pretty good consistency right there. Now let's move on to NFL divisional round picks, the meat and potatoes of this show. So this first topic I want to talk about, there's 2 first-year playoff quarterbacks playing on Saturday. After both had surprising wildcard weekend wins, I'd say we thought they did. CJ Stroud and Jordan Love being them. Both of these teams are 9.5-point dogs on most books on the road. Stroud's Houston Texans are facing MVP Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, and Love's Green Bay Packers visit the NFC's best team by record, the San Francisco 49ers. I want to ask you guys, out of the Packers and the Texans, which quarterback and team will most likely cover that 9.5-point spread?
Texans. Just flat out going to keep it simple. I'd say the Texans.
You think
I think they match up pretty well. I think we saw Stroud light up a top defense already, especially one that I think you can argue was the best secondary in the NFL last year with Martin Everson, Greg Newsome, and Denzel Ward. And don't forget about the fact that they have the Defensive Player of the Year in Myles Garrett. I think Nico Collins and CJ Stroud are legit becoming one of the better wide receiver quarterback duos in the league already. Bobby Slowick has done an amazing job, although I do question, is it him? Is it the fact that Stroud is that good? Is it a bit of both? Not too sure, but that doesn't really matter in this situation. What I do know is that Houston's offense has been this good for a while. Stroud has been playing very well. Forget about being a rookie. He's playing at an elite level, period. Like, forget about him as a child. He's a child in the NFL. He's a first year. Forget about that. This dude's one of the better quarterbacks in the league already. So, and also there is the fact that, listen, I love Lamar, and I'm always going to love Lamar. He's a top 5 quarterback, top 4 quarterback in the league. His playoff performances to this date have not been good. And I love Lamar, and that is why until he shows me, and people can talk about the fact that he's going to be a 2-time MVP. If Lamar Jackson has another game where he struggles in the playoffs again, there is no reason whatsoever how you can tell me he is better than Josh Allen. Not even in the slightest. Because Josh Allen has been a dominant playoff performer ever since 2020. He has been dominant in the playoffs every single year except for last year. And even then, he was still probably better than Lamar's ever been. Lamar, okay, I'm going to give him a pass on his rookie year. He was thrown into the fire against a very good Charger team. I'll give you a pass on that. 2019 against the Titans, you have no excuse. You went in there as double-digit favorites and completely shit the bed. You went in there and just humiliated yourselves. People can talk about how, he had 450 total yards. Did he get the ball in the end zone? Did he struggle in the red zone? Could he not do anything when the ball was past the 50-yard line? No, he couldn't. And then you play the Titans again, and you get a good win. And then you play the Bills, and you play terrible. Lamar Jackson, to this point, has not played at that high playoff caliber level that we want him to do. This is the best team he's had by far. This is the best coaching staff he's had by far. However, the Texans have been hot, which is why I think they are going to cover, and also due to the fact that Lamar's playoff struggles have been very clearly
But you have
there.
the Ravens winning out. You have the Ravens winning. But
I do. Ravens win. Ravens should. They should win. They should
win.
If there is one upset of the week, I think that is the one, just because of Lamar's playoff struggles being very real. Yes, he is 1-3 in the playoffs. And that one Titans game, I'd say he was fine. I wouldn't say he was good. I'd say he was fine. But, man, Lamar, you really got to turn it up. I do think you win this one, and I do think you're going to have a good game, but you gotta show it, man. Like, I've been very critical of Lamar. I have, especially in the playoffs. And if he does, have that playoff game, I have no problem with you calling him a top 2 quarterback. No problem at all. But until he shows me it, and honestly, I think he needs to go a bit further. I've seen Josh Allen have 2 stretches in the playoffs where he looked like the greatest playoff performer of all time. Those games against New England and the Chiefs, 9 total touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a passer rating of 149, a completion percentage of 80%, over 11 yards a target.
I don't even think he had a turnover, too. I don't even think he had
not a single turnover, not one. He had more touchdowns than incomplete passes against the Patriots. Say what you want about the Patriots, that is a damn good defense.
They were one of the best defenses in the NFL that year, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. And then against the Chiefs, he loses because of a coin toss. And I have been saying for years, if he wins that coin toss, he wins the Super Bowl. I know he does.
Dude, he had 2 touchdown drives in the final 2 minutes where we all thought the Bills were going to win, but the Bills defense kept giving up drives to the Chiefs.
Dude. Like, I've seen Josh Allen play at that high level in the playoffs. I haven't seen Lamar do it. I think this is the year he can finally do it. And if he doesn't,
we're going to talk about the Bills soon, but a lot of what you said is what I'm going to talk later. But, Teo, I don't know about you because you saw this team play against your defense. But Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers are the team. I think they have a better chance of covering against the 49ers and the Ravens than the Texans do against the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know, Teo. I think we saw an offense with all that motion with Jordan Love. I'll be honest. I said he was mid. I didn't see – I saw Kirk Cousins, like, borderline top 10 player, but, like, will probably be, like, 10 to 15 for most of his career. Didn't look that special to me in October. I mean, his October numbers, what was he, 14 touchdowns, like 8 picks? He was kind of ass. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, post-bye week, he looks like Aaron Rodgers. And I think if he can keep playing like this, making throws off his back foot, these young receivers just having a day against the Cowboys with all this motion against a 49ers defense, if I'm being honest, it's kind of like Dallas, where I think their front is better than their back end. And if that offensive line of Green Bay, which is pretty good, if they can hold up against a Nick Bosa, a Chase Young, and those guys up front in the defensive line, I think Jordan Love can have a fine day against the Green Bay Packers. And I know it's Joe Barry's defense, and I know they played against Dak, but they had a nice showing with Jair Alexander and company against a powerful Cowboys offense in Jerry World where they haven't lost in nearly 2 years. Brock Purdy, who I think is good, not great, but good. Kind of like a Dak Prescott. Good, not great, but good. But I think Dak's a little bit better. And I think San Francisco has better weapons, a better run game than Dallas. But the way to beat this 49ers team is to force turnovers on Brock Purdy. Because if you look at all the games he's lost in the regular season, not that many, but he's had turnovers, multiple interceptions in every single one of those games. And I think if Joe Barry's defense can keep it rolling, get a little pressure, because outside of Trent Williams, that offensive line isn't that good.
Outside of Trent Williams,
in the run game, it's good, but in the pass protection outside of Trent Williams, it's not really that good. If those guys like a Preston Smith can get some pressure, Jair Alexander can have himself a day, force a couple turnovers, and Jordan Love is playing like he is right now, like he's Aaron Rodgers, I think they can cover. I wouldn't pick them to win just because San Francisco is so talented and they're going to be at home. I think they're going to win this game. But I will take the Love and the Packers to cover. With the Ravens, though, I'm kind of scared of a Lamar playoff drop. And we're going to talk about more Lamar in a second, Donnie. I'm scared of a Lamar playoff drop. And I think if he drops, it will make this game close. The Texans can cover. And we did see the Ravens and Texans play before. It was week 1, albeit that was Stroud's very first game, and they had bad offensive line play to start, and Lamar wasn't even that good. I also just think the Ravens are just a bit too more talented, and I trust their defense to not absolutely collapse against the Browns. Because I do think, although Stroud had a nice day against the Browns, and the Browns defense disappeared in my eyes, and I still think C.J. Stroud, great passer. Him and Nico Collins, it's like, that chemistry is insane. Like, where did that chemistry come from? It's a Michigan and Ohio State guy. But if the Ravens defense can get some pressure on Stroud, I think Stroud in that offense is vulnerable. And that's where they're at their worst. And I just think the Packers are more likely to cover. But what about you, Teo, before we wrap up this segment?
I'm going to say I think the Houston Texans are more likely to cover. But having said that, though, for both of these teams, I think the advantages that they do have is that there is immense pressure on the Ravens to get it done and the 49ers, especially the Ravens too, with like everything Donnie was saying. Lamar loses this playoff game, it is going to get very, very loud there.
It's going to get bad.
It's going to get loud, right?
Get very racist.
And for the Texans and the Packers, both of these teams have exceeded everybody's expectations. Nobody, what if you said a year ago, the Packers and the Texans are both going to be in the divisional rounds, you would say they're nuts. So both of these teams are playing loose. They're playing free. They got nothing to lose. Both of these teams, it's like really weird. Like it's the same exact thing. And on the other side for San Francisco, they have all this pressure to get it done. They've had the roster. They've had, Trent Williams is getting up in age. Like they're going to have to pay. Like there's just no way they're going to stay in this window. So their window's closing. And then on the other side, hey, Lamar, are you going to get it done? Are you going to be, like we said, are we going to sit here and have you in these conversations with the Mahomes, the Josh Allen? Like that is like my biggest concern is that for the Ravens is Lamar going to show up? I really question it. I really question if Lamar is going to show up because we haven't seen it in the playoffs thus far.
The Packers offense is better than the Texans offense to me. And they're going up against a 49ers defense that is worse. Although the numbers don't really say it's like that big, to be honest, I trust the Ravens defense more than the 49ers. Ravens defense is the number one scoring defense in the league. So better Packers offense than the Texans against a bit of a lesser defense. So give me, in a matchup we haven't seen before this season, give me the Packers to most likely cover. So the next I want to talk about just really quickly, because I think everyone in the world outside of that Tampa, Florida region is going to take Detroit to win this game. And that's no disrespect to Tampa. I just think it's a 6.5 point spread. And I think that's right where it should be, about a touchdown. The Lions are just the better team, if we're being honest. The teams matched up before, and it kind of showed with the run game of the Gibbs and Montgomery, and Jared Goff's better than Baker Mayfield. The Lions are just a better team. I will say the Bucs are very talented. I think they are very talented, and they have a chance to win this game or at least make it very close to the end. Because if you do watch that last game where they played, or even that Philadelphia game, or Todd Bowles' entire career, he loves to blitz. They blitzed on about like 53.8% of dropbacks against the Eagles, and they blitzed a lot against Detroit when I was watching that tape against when they came to Tampa. And Jared Goff is not really that good under pressure. I think that's how you can also get to, just like a CJ Stroud, I think that type of quarterback is mobile, but not crazy mobile, for where if you can get them under pressure, they're not as effective because they rely mostly on stepping up in the pocket and making throws. And Goff got sacked 3 times. So the Bucs do have a chance there. And Baker, shout out to Baker Mayfield. He's playing a lot more confident today. And this is a Lions secondary where Stafford was like, dude, I'm going to go walk in my hometown and drop 400 yards. And I think Baker could go for 250 at least, throw for a touchdown against this defense. But this Lions offense is a juggernaut at home. What was it, 3 straight touchdowns to open that playoff game or something like that? They've done it multiple times this season when they're at home in that dome, Detroit loud crowd, first divisional playoff game in Detroit, and Lord knows how long they're going to be loud as well. I'm taking Lions. I think by about a touchdown seems fair. What about you guys?
I'm taking Detroit as well. I think this is honestly, like, let's be real. The wheels were falling off for Philly over the last month. This was a team that was absolutely horrendous, and arguably you could say the worst team over the last 2 months of the season. I mean, I picked the Bucs to win the game before. I did. If you go to my TikTok, you can see I picked the Bucs to win this football game. They were at home, but unfortunately, I think Detroit's going to be too much of a task for their defense because obviously, like you said, yes, Todd Bowles does blitz more than other teams, but this Detroit O-line is amazing. I mean, they have one of the best offensive line units in the National Football League, and also their run game, and I think it's going to be very effective against Tampa. I got the Lions winning this game and covering.
Donnie?
I mean, it'd be fun to pick Tampa. I bet that'd be a fun pick.
It would be. It would say a lot about Tom Brady, but
I mean, yeah. I just think, unfortunately, Lions are just the better team, man. I mean, you said it well. Maybe the best offensive line in football. It's going to be the best offensive line in football going into next year with Jason Kelce retiring, possibly, a Lane Johnson regression sometime soon because he was very good this year, but he wasn't as dominant as he was the previous year. So maybe some regression from a guy who's been older. I mean, we all know Jared Goff and what he is under pressure. This is why I've never really been high on Goff. I've always been high on quarterbacks who can create that structure. But keep him protected, and he's going to beat you in the pocket. You have Amon-Ra, you have Sam Laporta, who's healthier than he was last week. J-Mo, Josh Reynolds. I don't trust the secondary nearly as much. Cam Sutton has been such a massive, disappointing contract from a guy who I thought was the steal up in free agency besides TJ Edwards, which he's also been fine. But Cam Sutton, man, has just been not good at all. So if there is a chance that Tampa has, it would be on Baker Mayfield. I don't know if he can handle that pressure, though. He did a good job against Philly, but not an amazing job. And that defense was on its last heels, considering how bad they were playing. So I'm just going to take the team that I think is more talented, better coached, better offense. Give me the Lions.
Well, before we move on, if anyone's picking the Texans to cover, I'm pretty sure I just saw my phone notification that Mark Andrews will not come off IR most likely. So
no Marlon Humphrey and no Mark Andrews.
Gonna be tough. Gonna be tough. Excuses already coming out for the Ravens? Excuses?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I do want to say this too. One more thing really quick about this Packers 49ers game. This is another thing that makes this game interesting for the Packers and why I kind of do like the Packers to cover is in close games. And not just covered. If it gets close in the fourth quarter, Kyle Shanahan, 0-36.
Oh, yeah.
When trailing by 7 points.
I think it's 8.
In the fourth quarter.
I think it's 8.
That's also really interesting because the Packers have been legit the best team in the NFL in the first quarter. So that is very interesting.
Yeah. If they get out to a quick lead, because then the offense, I don't think it kind of happened in Baltimore. I don't think he'll give up on CMC, but a lot more Brock Purdy dependency, and that's why they also haven't been able to pull out the games. And that's when Joe Barry can start forcing some turnovers, get in a good defensive.
That's why they struggle. Why do you think they struggled so much versus Baltimore, man? Just why do you think they struggled versus Cleveland? It's as simple as that.
And Minnesota as well. When they got down to Minnesota,
I mean, like when you
concussion,
when you get down early in the run game, you can't rely on the run game. You have to rely on Purdy. It's not nearly as effective.
Okay, this is going to be clearly the best game of the season. It's building up to be the Chiefs and the Bills. To me, it's building up to be the best game of the season. I am so excited.
I'm so pumped.
Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. Now, they've won 3 straight, kind of going under the radar, 3 straight regular season games against Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. I thought Allen could have beaten Mahomes, whatever.
3 straight, yep. 3 straight.
Kind of going under the radar here. However, what's hanging over him and why it's going under the radar is he's 0-2 against the Chiefs and Mahomes in the postseason. So I want to ask you guys, is this the year where Joshua Allen wins his first playoff game over Patrick Mahomes?
Yes, I believe so. Fun fact, they're actually tied 3-3 throughout their career.
Yeah.
All time. They are 3-3 against each other, so the winner of this will have the advantage for now. I think this has to be the Bills year, man. I've been saying this from ever since they lost to that Philly team. I said, this is a team that I am terrified of because we all know, listen, I said it on the last pod and I'll repeat myself. Josh Allen is one of the most dangerous players in the NFL because even despite having 3 turnovers against Miami, he was the best player on the field from start to finish. And there's a reason why Miami struggled those last few games. They got blown out against Baltimore because Baltimore clearly had the better quarterback. There's a reason why, when you watch the Bills and the Dolphins game, despite Allen's 3 turnovers, he was still clearly the better player. And then you watch him in that wildcard game against the Chiefs. Mahomes didn't even play all that great. I thought he played good. And he was still so much better than Tua. And it wasn't even funny. Tua
he had no receivers that could track a ball down the field and was still miles better than Tua.
Yep. Josh Allen is a freak, dude. Every time I turn on that film, I'm just like, this dude makes some of the most jaw-dropping plays, and that's why you live with those turnovers. And against the Steelers, he didn't have any turnovers. He played very efficient. Now, the question is he going to continue to do that? And I think we've seen him play at a high level in the playoffs many times in the past where you can believe in him. And obviously, it's hard to bet against Mahomes in the playoffs. I completely understand that. But what I can say is that this is the worst team that the Chiefs have had in Mahomes' years as the starting quarterback. This is by far the worst offense. The lack of offensive talent, Travis Kelce regressing. The tackles are even worse, I'd argue, this year than last year. The play calling is worse this year. I think this is finally the Bills' year to catch them off balance, knock them down, and for them to move on for the AFC Championship. I'm a Josh Allen believer. I love Josh Allen. I love the Bills this year. Give me the Bills to win. Give me the Bills to cover. I said Bills 27-24.
As Josh Allen's number one fan who isn't a Bills fan and doesn't live in
Yep.
Buffalo, New York, I would like to say I think I consider myself one of them. I always defend Josh Allen.
I will always defend Josh Allen.
If he wins this game, I'll continue to push the narrative. When Josh Allen is at his best, he is the best player in football, or could be. When he's at his best, no turnovers with his legs, big body, big arm. He's the best player in football when he's at his best.
That run he had against the Steelers, dude. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
But it comes down to
you can name how many dudes can do that, and then plus his arm. Think about the arm talent he has. How many dudes can make that run and also hit the throws that he can? I can think of maybe two, and it's him and I don't know, maybe Justin Herbert, maybe. I don't know, maybe. Like, dude, Josh Allen is one of one, dude. Like, what he can do, like, I've said this before, he's one of the most 5 talented quarterbacks we will ever see in NFL history. Like, it's unreal how talented that dude is, and I think he's going to will his way to win this game.
It's like if Cam Newton and John Elway had a baby. Like, the
literally,
legs,
dude,
the body, the arm. It's the comp is there, and I believe this game will go down to the wire just exactly like the regular season game. And I'm going to give the Bills a slight edge. Now, it's 2.5 points. I'll probably just stay away from a spread there, to be honest. I'll probably just take Bills' money line because this could be like a 1-point game. I'll take the Bills better receivers. And if it comes down to a clean game, I'll take Josh Allen at home. Now, Josh Allen against this really great, arguably the best defense in the league, not named Baltimore, in Kansas City. He did have an interception in Kansas City, but so did Mahomes. Bills defense is a little more banged up, but I think with an already game-to-game plan with them, some previous game film against this Chiefs team, I think if they can use this film, understand that if they throw a ball deep, the Chiefs do, McCole Hartman and MVS just are going to let the ball drop to their feet. So I don't think they need to play so high. It all really depends on the defensive adjustments by Sean McDermott and how much he's going to let these receivers just run. But if we're to strictly talking Josh Allen and this Bills offense, I'm taking them over Mahomes and Kelsey and company. It's not just because I want to push the Allen narrative or I pray I don't have Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl, but I just think the Bills are – this is just their year. It is. Teo, what do you believe? Chiefs? If you want to take the Chiefs, I don't hate you. I mean,
I don't hate you.
This is what I'm going to say, guys, and that's why I was kind of like, I think we're going to see a Patty legacy game. I think this is going to be a Patty special, and I think this is obviously one of the most important games that he in his postseason career. Obviously, how could I say that? Him having 2 Super Bowls, but he's never played a road playoff game. He's always played the only time he's ever played is the neutral sites of the Super Bowl. So I think I did this mistake last year when I betted on the Bills versus the Bengals. I was like, they're not going into Buffalo and doing it. I saw Burrow do it last year. Obviously, yes. KC, they're outmanned. They don't have the type of roster that the Bills have, but they got Patrick Mahomes. I betted against them last week. I literally thought the Dolphins were going to win. I cannot do it. I can't bet against Mahomes. Give me the Chiefs, man. I think we're going to see a Patty legacy game. I really think
Donnie, bigger problem. Bills injured defense or Chiefs receivers? Bigger problem.
I'm going to say Chiefs receivers. Okay. I'm going to say Chiefs receivers because the Bills defense has been playing well despite the injuries. I think they have been. I think the run defense has been a bit questionable, but I think the secondary has been much better than you'd expect, especially with, unfortunately, another season of Trey White's injury. The linebacking core is just so beaten up. I mean, even despite that, I think they've still been fine. I think Ed Oliver playing the best football of his career right now has been really helping them because he was unblockable versus the Steelers. And I like Rashee Rice. I do. We need to realize he's a rookie. I don't know if he's going to have another performance like he did last week versus the Dolphins. I'd argue this is a better defense in a much harder environment to play in because Miami was not fit to play that game. I did not think Miami had a chance in that game. I just didn't. I thought cold weather, they're not used to this. It's Mahomes' house. I don't think you're going to win. And that's exactly what happened. Now, in this game, you're going to be going on the road for the first time in an environment that I would argue is the hardest to play in. Have fun playing in Bills Mafia, man, because that is a nightmare, especially when that defense is playing at least average and Josh Allen is hot. I think the Bills receivers struggle a bit more than the Bills. Or I think the Chiefs receivers struggle a bit more than the Bills defense. But something I do want to ask real quick.
Yeah.
Let's say this game is a blowout. Just out of nowhere, it's like, whoa, a blowout? Who's more likely to get blown out?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs? I agree.
The Chiefs.
I agree.
It would have to take like Josh Allen 3 turnover game.
Yeah, if Josh Allen has like
Josh would need to throw like 3 interceptions.
Yeah,
I don't
Josh
see that
would have
happening.
to completely collapse in order.
Josh would have to collapse, and honestly, that would be the worst thing ever. And I think I would cry.
I would cry too.
I would. My narratives would be done. I would be getting trolled. But I will say, Mahomes, interesting enough, first ever non-Arrowhead playoff game, not counting the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Let's see how he deals with that. I trust him though. He's the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
He's the best quarterback. He's not the greatest of all time, but he's the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's
just the best I've ever seen.
And that's my whole point, man. And like that's the whole thing with this game too. And like, let's not forget, like the Chiefs' defense has been better than their offense this year. Like L'Jarius Sneed, Trent McDuffie, like obviously really Josh Allen's Josh Allen, that Bills offense. But let's remind you, Stephon Diggs had a horrible stretch down the stretch of the regular season. They're gonna put some bodies on him. He's not going to
play that good against the Chiefs.
I think.
No Gabe Davis also. That's something else to keep in mind.
Need a Shakir legacy game right here.
Yeah, Shakir. I mean, you have Shakir, you have Knox and Kincaid, so you still have playmakers, but no Gabe Davis is going to be interesting.
Shakir needs to play like a $50 million receiver. Like, he kind of needs to. Unless Josh Allen's going to, like, destroy the ground with his legs. But if the Bills go pass heavy, you need Shakir to have a legacy.
Yeah.
That game is going to be tight, man. That game,
that's the game I'm by far looking the most forward to.
Unfortunately, the NFL is begging us to wait till the very end of the divisional round. Like, why is it 6 p.m. on Sunday? I got to wait 2 days at 6 p.m. Dude, put this on tomorrow.
They had the best for last, man.
I know, but they got the 2-1 seeds playing tomorrow. I don't know why they did 2. I think because the Bills game got delayed.
Well, I mean, but like we kind of said it. Like, we could see a scenario.
2-1 seeds playing tomorrow.
But like we said it, dude, we could see a scenario where both of these teams cover.
Yeah.
So we think these could be close games. These are 2 hot teams going against the 2 arguably best teams.
I want it to be.
That's
close.
why I think it's interesting.
If we're being honest, that divisional round was bad. Like as far as like entertainment, watching. I mean, it was cool. Sorry, Taylor, to like laugh at the Cowboys, but for that to be a blowout, we wanted that to be close.
The divisional games will be better than the wild card games.
Dominate. We wanted that to be close. Like we wanted these games to be close. I don't want the Texans to lose by 20. I don't want the Packers to lose by 15. I want these games to be close. Because other than the Lions game, those games are all blowouts, and they were hard. Like the Dolphins game, that was hard to watch. That was. I don't want to see another game like that. We won't because the conditions, but I don't want to see that. But let's switch to this. I want to ask an interesting question to my panel up here. Which quarterback or coach is under the most pressure this divisional round? Lamar. And I kind of have an idea what Donnie's answer is.
Lamar Jackson. And it's not, and I want to emphasize this, it's not even close. It's Lamar Jackson. If you want me to say a second one, I guess I'll say Josh Allen.
No, go into Lamar. Let's hear why Lamar is the most under pressure.
I said it earlier. I'll just repeat myself. Lamar Jackson, to this point in his career, has not been a good playoff performer. We are talking about a guy who has had 3 bad games and then 1 average one. And it's very hard to forgive him from that 2019 Titans absolute debacle. Because, like I said, you were double-digit favorites going into that game. I understand the Titans were kind of hot, and Derrick Henry was pretty hot. You know, they were a team that was on fire, and they just beat New England. You had no reason to lose that game. You had arguably a top 3 defense in the NFL. You had the unanimous best offensive line in football. That was one of the best offensive lines I've seen over the last 15 years. You have Ronnie Stanley at the peak of his powers, Orlando Brown Jr. at the peak of his powers, and you had Marshall Yanda in his final year, who's going to maybe retire as a first ballot Hall of Famer. That offense was so good. The defense was so good. Lamar was playing like an MVP. And you go into that game and just screw everything up. And it's hard to forgive you for that, but I did. I said, you know what? Everyone struggles in their first couple playoff games. It's okay. Not everyone's going to be Mahomes. And then, the next year you get a good win against the Titans. You didn't play great, but you played fine. And then, it was the Bills game was an absolute nightmare. But this is the year to finally do it. You want to prove the haters wrong, and I want you to prove me wrong because I think you're a special talent. You're going to be a Hall of Famer. Lamar's going to be a Hall of Famer. I can say that confidently. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. But if you want to show us that you're just not a regular season quarterback and you can do this in the playoffs, this is the best team you've had yet. This is the best coaching staff you've had yet. This is the easiest path you have had yet. Mahomes and the Chiefs are not what they usually are. Josh Allen and the Bills are inconsistent. The Texans is a rookie coach and a rookie quarterback. This is the year to do it. This is the year to finally do it, Lamar and the Ravens. This is the year to do it. You're healthy. The Bills' defense is injured and inconsistent. This is the worst Chiefs team we've seen in years. The Texans are young. They shouldn't even be here. They overperformed expectations. This is the year to do it. And if you don't do it, I don't even know what to say. Because this is the easiest path you're going to have. Because the Chiefs are going to get better. The Bills' defense won't be that injured. The Texans are going to get better with more experience. And then you have the Chargers possibly getting healthy. And then you have Burrow coming back. This is the year to do it. And if you don't do it, then I really don't know what to say. You don't even have to win the ball. You don't have to win the ball because the Niners are a fantastic team. I don't think they have to win it. If they make it, that's good enough.
Make it, okay. Yeah.
Just make it. You have to make the ball. Because if not,
I
don't know, man. We're going to look at you differently. Let alone, how about just have a good game? You know what? Screw that. Have a good playoff game against the Texans because you haven't had one yet. You've had 4 tries. You know what? I'll say you had 3 tries. I'll cancel out that Chargers game. That's not fair. That's like your 6th game of your career against a very good Chargers team. This is like the 3rd game or 4th game of your career in the playoffs. You have to do it, man. You have to. There is no excuse. I don't care that Mark Andrews is hurt. Isaiah Likely's been good. Zay Flowers is amazing. OBJ is reliable. The run game has been good. The offensive line's been good. And you have the best defense in football. This is the year to do it.
I have to agree with Lamar. I was going to say Josh Allen, too, is my number 2, just because, if he doesn't beat Mahomes now, then, when is he ever?
When's he going to do it?
When is he ever? This is also Josh Allen's year, but it's Lamar. And I think it's by a huge gap, Donnie. When Lamar came to the league, Donnie, I don't know about you, I was also in that huge majority that doubted him as a thrower. Kind of saw a running back come out of Louisville. And then he quickly became one of the most unguardable players in the league. Won MVP. But most people credited his performances on his ability, athletic ability. And when he statistically dropped against the Titans in the playoffs, at home, number 1 seed, as the 10-point favorite, dude, his doubters took a victory lap and never looked back. And has Lamar improved as a passer and I've came around? Of course.
Yes.
But it's going to be in the eyes of his haters a James Harden thing for the NFL where it's unless you prove you can rise above and win the Super Bowl, no one is going to care if you win 1, 2, 3, 5 MVPs because that label of a playoff dropper will forever cast a dark shadow on Lamar Jackson's career and will clearly have him below Mahomes. And it depends how Allen plays. Have him below an Allen. Burrow's been to a Super Bowl. It will have him below Joe Burrow in the eyes of most people. And there will be a gap. And even if he plays good in this game and loses, I still think a lot of the people – now, some people would come around and change it, but I know how critics and haters and hard-headed people work. A lot of the quarterbacky stuff, which is just such a bad take, but – that is going to stick with him because they see an injury-prone runner. They don't like how he talks, a fan of Kodak Black. They're going to criticize this man for the longest until he lifts up the Lombardi. I think he has to win the Super Bowl, to be honest. I kind of think he has to. I think if he gets to a Super Bowl, it's going to change a lot of people's minds. But if you want to change pretty much everyone's mind, winning the Super Bowl would do a pretty good job.
I think he got there. And I think that's good enough because Burrow didn't win it and no one really questions him. Although I would argue Burrow is an extremely overrated playoff performer, but that's a different conversation. He still made the bowl. He made it and everyone accepts the fact that he made it. Lamar hasn't even gotten to the AFC Championship yet.
No.
KO,
who do you believe? Lamar? It's not Dak Prescott.
You said it. Real quick. I'm sorry, just real quick. You said it. Mahomes made the AFC Championship every single year he's been a starter, which is mind-blowing, by the way.
It's insane.
Josh Allen has made an AFC Championship Burrow has made 2 AFC championships. Even Ryan Tannehill made an AFC championship that 1 year. I don't know how. Shout out Derrick Henry.
Well, because Lamar. Because of Lamar.
You have to do it this year, man. You have to do it this year because this is the best team you're probably going to have. Because when you look at the Ravens cap space, they're at $5 million in cap space. Patrick Queen is a free agent. Justin Matabuke is a free agent. A lot of people on that roster are going to be leaving. Clowney. There's a lot of people on that roster that are going to be leaving, and it's going to be hard to create that team you've had this year. Because so, like we've been saying, this is the year to do it.
And your DC could get a job. Who knows?
Your OC could get a job. They both could get a job.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, you got somebody different.
Yeah, I'm going to go a different route, and I'm going to say a head coach, Kyle Shanahan. This guy has the most pressure out of anybody in the National Football League. We're talking about a coach that has taken the Niners. He just has not gone over the hump. He's been to 2 NFC Championship games, lost. Obviously, people are going to bring up Purdy last year, but that Rams game, complete collapse. Then, let's not forget, he was the OC of the biggest collapse in Super Bowl history. This man has the most talented roster in football. He has all pros all over the field. If Kyle Shanahan, because with Lamar, I agree with Donnie. I think, in my personal opinion, I think the public narrative, if he could just get them to the Super Bowl, maybe even if he loses the AFC Championship game in a shootout, the narrative, I think, will change. Okay, like Lamar, he just got to win this game. He's got to win. With Kyle Shanahan, he's got to get the job done. This man has to get it done. If he doesn't get it done, bro, with this type of he has to get it done. I think that's kind of the difference in it because he has the roster. He has everything. There is no more excuse for why Kyle Shanahan can't take a team over the hump. If he wants to be at the big boy table with the Belichicks, with the Andy Reids, like he's got to put his ring on the table. He's got to take this 49ers team to the Super Bowl. They got luck. I'm not going to say luck out, but they don't got to face the Eagles. They don't got to face the Cowboys. They face 3 teams. You could argue the Bucks that are inexperienced that potentially might face that have not been in this moment. And they have. So it is on Kyle Shanahan, I believe. It's going
to be so embarrassing if he doesn't even get to a Super Bowl. I do agree he has to get to a Super Bowl, but I disagree slightly because I think he has to win the Super Bowl.
He has to win it, yeah. He has to win it more than Lamar does.
Of course, he has to go to the Super Bowl because if he loses in this NFC playoff picture, when I think the best teams, although we'll see how the Packers play against them, ideally the best teams coming in, which we all thought against the 49ers, Eagles, Rams, and Cowboys are no longer there. And this is kind of like your path to beat up on a bunch of lower seeds, teams that never been there before. Obviously he has to go to Super Bowl, but he has to win, dude. You talked about all the stuff about the 28-3, the NFC Championship losses. You also kind of just didn't bring up the fact that he had a 10-point lead in the Super Bowl just like 3 years ago. So he also has that as well. He's shown that this team can get to the Super Bowl. So it's kind of like once you've shown that you can get to a Super Bowl with that roster, then anything that isn't close doesn't count. Like you kind of have to get back because if you've shown that you can get to a Super Bowl, and then it always goes back to the window thing. This window is there. Like Bosa, your skill position, Trent Williams, retirement. Guys got to get paid soon. Sooner or later, you got to pay some guys. Purdy's going to get some money in a year or so. Like, this is their window. I understand and agree that Shanahan has some pressure on him.
Yeah.
You have to question, is Shanahan the guy is he a coach that's good enough to win a Super Bowl? That's going to be the narrative. Is he a coach that's good enough to win the Super Bowl? Because, this team is super talented. I get they don't have like a Mahomes and Allen. Like, they don't have an elite transcendent quarterback. And if Purdy really stinks it up, I don't think I can blame Shanahan that much. I think just like Garoppolo, a lot of the blame will go to Garoppolo as in Purdy. But at some point, it will have to go to the head coach.
Yeah, and I will say this too, and this is the whole thing I have with people because they love to just bring analytics and numbers into everything with football, which is great. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan's offense has been amazing and everything. But to me, he doesn't seem like a guy if the 49ers are trailing, they have a culture in San Francisco that they have somebody that's going to hold players accountable in that locker room, that's going to chew people out. He doesn't come across to me like that guy that's going to do that when they are trailing. He's a guy that it's all based off the play calling and how that goes. We see it with Mike McDaniels, and that's why those coaches don't always win. That's why Kyle Shanahan hasn't won because you're going to face adversity, And when you have a head coach that is just they're specifically known for just being a play caller and not like a guy that's going to galvanize the troops, you run into problems in the postseason. And that is why, that's why I'm saying again, like the Niners should run away with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if somehow the Lions are in the Super Bowl, like because of Dan Campbell and the way that team fights for him, the players
That's
love
a very good point. I think if they lose to Green Bay or somehow lose to Detroit and they show an inability to come from behind, like he's done throughout his entire playoff career as an OC and a head coach. If the 49ers lose, I'm definitely bringing you back on so you can rant about this further. So you have another thing to say.
I'll take
that's
it
not going to look good because it shows like although some of the blame will go, he's had a Garoppolo, he's had a Purdy. Those aren't quarterbacks you'll trust no matter who the coach is to pull those wins out of your ass. But it's also like, can you coach an offense that can even come back? Like you have the weapons.
Yeah.
Although a lot of the blame goes to your quarterback, how are you not able to get one big win from behind?
Yep.
You're drawing the plays. You're also the head coach.
Yeah. This will be, and I will say this, I'm gonna like I don't think I'm going off a ledge. If the Niners don't win the Super Bowl, this will be the biggest choke job in NFL history. I don't think you will be able to. This will be the biggest choke job. The only other team I could maybe think, but it wasn't a choke job, and it's gonna be funny because you're a Colts fan, is that 14-2 Colts team in 2009 with Peyton Manning. That team that broke all those. I mean, that team was amazing, and they didn't win a Super Bowl. But obviously lost to the Saints. But yeah, I mean, if they don't win it, bro, like this is how can they get any better? Can the Niners get any better than they are right now? Realistically, guys, like I'm asking you, Donnie, and saying, like, do you think they get better?
No.
I'm gonna say yes, but barely.
I don't think so.
Barely.
Because the only way this team can significantly get better to me, unless you say find luck on a cheap new offensive tackle, the best way this team can get better is quarterback, and it would sacrifice some players because that quarterback would have to be expensive.
I'm gonna say because their offensive line is so bad, like it genuinely is. I would say that offensive line is bad. I would say Trent Williams is great, but everything else is a massive question mark. I think especially in such a loaded tackle class, I think getting a tackle, maybe you can flip a coin on like a guy who could be great. You're not really losing that much. You're losing depth, but like that's kind of it. Like, yeah, you're losing Chase Young, sure. You're losing Randy Gregory, sure. But like you have a little bit of money in cap space to maybe you can bring one of them back. And then, you can go draft the tackle. I've said it for a couple months now. I think their Super Bowl window is this year or next year. And then after next year, I think things get really dicey. So I think they have this year to do it. And if they don't do it, they'll have one more year to do it. Because after that, then you got to pay Purdy.
Yeah,
that's when things get tricky. Because if he does, let's just say hypothetically, he does make it to the Super Bowl. But let's say they lose it. And then the same thing next year, he makes it to NFC Championship or Super Bowl, but then he doesn't win it. He's going to ask for a lot of money, like more than we all know he should make.
Jimmy Garoppolo type bag.
Yeah, no, like the Niners are under, like, I mean, I'm telling you guys, like if they lose, as much as crap as people want to give the Dallas Cowboys and our franchise of choking, like the Niners have done it on the biggest stages. They've done it in bigger games. I'm telling you, if they choke, there's not going to be a person that's going to sit back and just laugh more than me because it's like I'm telling you, if they choke, it will be the biggest collapse in NFL history. They should run away. I personally, because of the roster that they have, like
they should get made fun of like the Cowboys. I think they should. I think they should get made fun of like the Cowboys.
Yeah. And let's be honest, and like I said, and I don't want to go into the hypotheticals because and I'm not even going to say it because I'm going to sound like a delusional Cowboys fan. But I know every player on that team, everybody, they went, whew, not have to face the Cowboys or Rams in a potential divisional round or NFC Championship game.
Dude, I thought the Rams could have given them a run for their money.
Me too.
I really wanted to see him play the Rams. I didn't think the Rams would beat them probably, but I just thought that game would have been super competitive because Sean McVay versus Kyle Shanahan was the perfect matchup for an offensive play caller. And it's Stafford. This isn't some chump. This isn't some inexperienced guy. This is Matthew Stafford, who's played this team before. I mean, this was their path, the Rams' path to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, was the Niners. I thought, although the Rams aren't as talented as they are back then,
yeah,
I really wanted to play the Rams. I want to ask this question. before we go because we're an hour in. I want to Donnie. I don't know Teo how much he's into college football, but I know Donnie is. Donnie, did you see that Ohio State hired Bill O'Brien as the head coach?
I
Not
did.
the head coach, offensive coordinator.
Yep, I did.
Okay, I wanted to get your initial thoughts on it because I'm from Columbus. If you have a take on it, I want to get some of your thoughts on it because when I got that notification last night when I was working, I was a little hesitant about it. I was like, this is a little polarizing figure, big personality. He's going to get some headlines. And then that New England job last year was a disaster. I mean, that's just being fair. Disaster. But I slept on it last night, got some good night's sleep, went to bed early, which is really rare for me. Went to bed early, got some good night's sleep, and I woke up today thinking that was a good hire, honestly. To get Bill O'Brien as the OC, he's experienced at every level, coached, proven head coach in the National Football League, won some playoff games, proven assistant coach in the NFL, which it's harder to coach in the NFL and win games in the NFL than it is in college football. But he's also done it at the college level too, proven to be a coach in a Big Ten powerhouse and in Penn State, proven to be a coach under Nick Saban. If Nick Saban trusts you, then you got to be good at something. He's coached Tom Brady into an MVP. He's been the OC for Bryce Young winning a Heisman. I like this hiring. Brian Day, he's dealing with a lot. Recruiting, being the leader of this team, something he hasn't done before, and then also has to call the plays. He said it himself. He wanted an experienced offensive coordinator to take that burden off him, and he can be more of like a CEO, motivator, leader, recruiter, instead of also calling plays. And he kind of feels like this might be his final year too. So he has to get a new breath of fresh air, new play calling, finally get over the Michigan hump. I like this hiring. It's no excuses now for Ohio State, but what do you think now?
Oh, no, there's no excuses at all. You are outside of Oregon, you should have no competition in the Big Ten. Michigan is going to be losing over 30 starters. Penn State might legit have one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen. And then also they're going to be losing the best edge rusher. I mean, who else is there? I guess Washington's losing everybody. You're not going to be scared of Iowa unless they hire some random
USC or
even USC. I wouldn't be that scared of. That defense won't improve right away. Who else is there? I guess Michigan State. You're not going to be scared. You're not scared of unless Iowa brings on some mega offensive genius and their offense becomes average.
They're 10 points a game
scared of them. Yeah, you're not scared of them. Like the only team you should be scared of is Oregon. Yeah. And I like Will Howard. People can shout all they want about how he's basically Kyle McCord. He is much better than Kyle McCord. Yeah, you're losing Marvin Harrison, sure. You're bringing back Ibuka. I like Cordell Tate. And the big boy, Jeremiah Smith, number one recruit coming out of high school. He could be the next Julio Jones. That's what he's hyped up to be. He's hyped up to be the next Julio Jones. This guy's already 6'3", 215 pounds, and he's a freshman in college. And he's already that big, extremely talented. He's a guy who could already come in day one and be a 1,000-yard receiver. The defense is returning everybody, literally everybody, except for one defensive lineman. You had 4 NFL defensive linemen. You bring back 3 of them. You got Denzel Burke back. You're bringing back Tommy Eichenberg, I believe. You're bringing back some of your safeties. This defense still should be one of the better ones in the conference. I think Bill O'Brien, like you said, he was the offensive coordinator when Bryce Young won a Heisman. He did great things for Penn State when he was over there. I think in college, he's done a much better job than when he's been in the NFL. I think he's done some good things in the NFL, and I think he was good with the Texans as a coach. His ego got in the way in terms of
that's why I thought he's a little
polarizing.
I was a little hesitant. He's
Bill
a little
O'Brien,
polarizing.
Bill O'Brien, the GM, ruined the Texans, not Bill O'Brien, the coach. I think Bill O'Brien, the play caller, I think he's one of the better ones you can ask for. I do. I think he's one of the better ones that you can ask for that team. There's not really much more I can say. I think Ohio State's offense is still going to be the best in the Big Ten. If not, it's going to be up there with Oregon. My question is the offensive line because it is a bit but I also had those questions last year, and it looked fine enough. And Will Howard's also a guy who has a bit more mobility than Kyle McCord, which that is going to help. Listen, you're not getting C.J. Stroud, you're not getting Justin Fields, you're not getting Dwayne Haskins, but you don't need that to win a championship. You just don't. If you can out-physical everybody and out-coach everybody, I think you can be fine. And I still like Ryan Day. I know he gets a lot of shit for not being able to beat Michigan. Michigan's not going to be that good next year. They're going to be maybe an 8 or 9 win team. They're
Especially
not going to
if
be.
Harbaugh leaves. What's
If
Michigan going to look like?
If Harbaugh leaves, they win 7, 8 games. Who knows? But you're going to be losing a lot of people. So what I will say is I like the hire. I still think they're the best team in the Big Ten. Are they the best team in the country? That I don't.
Are they better than Texas? Does this make them better than Texas?
Are they better than Texas? I'll say 1A, 1B, but I think Georgia is still the best team in the country until proven otherwise. They have the best quarterback in the country. At the end of the day, I think Carson Beck's the best QB in the country, and that's why I think they're the best team. They also have Kirby Smart, who's the best coach in the country. So, Ohio State, top 3 team in the country. The only team you got to worry about is Oregon. That's all I'm really going to say.
Teo, if you want to comment on this, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of covered everything I could possibly say. I mean, obviously with Will Howard coming from Kansas State, I really did like that move for y'all. I really thought that was a great move. Now you're bringing in Bill O'Brien, who's going to bring a pro-style offense in there. I do believe, too, I don't want to ramble off something else. I think the offensive play calling in college football has to change. I think the signs are ridiculous. They should be having some sort of technology in the headset, in the helmets. I think that's crazy. But having said that, I think Ohio State is going to be great. I think the only team is going to be Oregon that's going to stand in the way. I don't think anybody else in the Big Ten is really going to be able to compete with Ohio State, especially with all the players that they're returning on defense.
Yes.
Like I said, and Buka is coming back too. They lost Marvin Harrison. You're not going to fill that. All right.
We got the transfer running back from Ole Miss. Travion's coming back. I believe we got the center from Alabama. I just read yesterday. I mean, they got guys. They got guys on that front.
Yeah, the best running back duo in the country, which is a plus. You have Henderson, you have Junkins. Junkins had a bit of a down year last year, but what you can also say is that he dealt with some injuries, and then also the Ole Miss offensive line wasn't as good as you would hope it would be. This year it's going to be better, but last year it wasn't that great. They also relied a bit more on Jackson Dart's, his ability to throw. So. And I still like Junkins. I still think he's a top 5, top 3 running back in the country. You have Henderson, who's another top 8 running back in the country. Your run games are going to be great. The passing game should be good. Like I said, I like Will Howard. He has the mobility as well. He's been great at K-State for a long time, and now he's going to be getting Ohio State wide receivers. I like what's going on. I think this is a national championship contending team. No question about it.
And also, too, with the 12-team playoff, it relieves pressure on these teams mentally.
Absolutely.
You can't slip up off one game.
Yep, absolutely.
I think this Bill O'Brien hire, to summarize, basically was Ryan Day saying, dude, being the head coach of Ohio State's a lot. I can't just call plays. I got to be the leader. I got to be the face of this team. I got to be the guy who motivates the troops. I got to be the biggest recruiter. Kind of need someone to call plays, someone with experience, someone who can handle these big-time games as well, not some young hotshot, someone who can handle and proven to get this offense back to an NFL points-per-game type team. I mean, they took a huge points-per-game dip this year, albeit McCord and the offensive talent quite wasn't like what it was in the past couple of years. But I think Bill O'Brien can help elevate them. Bill O'Brien could possibly maybe get Will Howard to Heisman level. I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman, but get a little discussion going, just pure off numbers and that offensive talent that they have. We'll see. Someone from Columbus, the city kind of sucks when they keep losing to Michigan. And with the new athletic director coming in, Ryan Day's like, all right, my athletic director is no longer here. And athletic directors are a big deal in college football. Those guys hire and fire. And Ryan Day was probably like, yeah, dude, new athletic director, I need a play call. We need a new play sheet. Let's make this pro. Then let's win these big football games, or else it's my job. let's make my job the safest as possible by giving the keys to Bill O'Brien.
Yep, agreed.
I agree. I agree with that.
Well, that was all the topics for today's show, bro. We ran through it, hour and 18. Good discussions. Teo got his rants off about his favorite team. Got the steam out. You got the steam out, dude. Now you can relax and laugh at the 49ers even if they barely beat Jordan Love and the Packers.
I want that to happen so bad because it will. If they collapse, obviously it won't take away from the Cowboys collapse or anything, but it will be a little. It will calm some of the noise down for sure if the Niners collapse.
Yeah, and You can come join me and Donnie as our teams didn't make the playoffs. So we've been working on our mock drafts for already a while. So because my team can't catch. My team should have been in the Texas position. I'll never forget that.
My team just
would we
I
have beaten the
forgot to
Browns?
talk to you about
No.
that.
Would
My
my Colts
team
have
is
beaten the Browns?
just-
No, but it would have been cool to have a home playoff game
my team is just bad except for my quarterback.
for your
Pretty
quarterback.
much. Yeah.
And
Shout out my boy.
yeah, honestly, just your quarterback. Yeah.
We had a good run game this year. We had a good run game this year.
Bride. Connor's
Dude.
been a positive to end the
Dude,
season.
James Conner, hold on a second. I know this is off topic. James Conner averaged 5 yards a carry. James Conner.
Conner to end the
averaged 5
season was
yards a
nasty.
carry.
To end the season,
Like
we
it was,
came back off
he had
injury.
1,000 yards in 13
Conner
games,
was
also,
nasty.
which I think is wild.
He ran all over the Eagles, and that was
He
a
did.
fun game too. But we have a
He did.
lot of good games over the weekend, and I'm going to come back on here Monday, and hopefully the Bills win, so I can continue to push my Josh Allen narrative.
Woo.
And bye Taylor Swift. You know, I'm rooting for the Ravens and Lamar. I just am. I
Yep, I am
think it's
too.
disgusting that it's kind of like the Harden thing, that a player that's so good, he drops in the playoffs and people just won't acknowledge anything that he else does in his career. I think it would be cool to see the Packers go on and beat the 49ers. I think that would be cool. Teo's praying on it. And why not let Baker win this game? I'm picking the Lions, of course, but I'm going to be rooting for Baker. I think it'll be cool on social media to see Baker, touchdown maker, go win that game. And Ohio
NFC
State, no excuses
championship.
for you. But until
the
Monday,
Jordan Love narratives, if they win, oh my!
People are going to come on TV and say that Jordan Love's a top 10 quarterback.
They'll say he's better than bro. Packer fans are going to say he's better than Rodgers if he beats the Niners. I'm not joking. There's going to be Packer fans that will say that.
If Jordan Love wins this weekend, he will be a top 10 quarterback. I think people are going to take him over Lawrence because of recency bias. And honestly, you can probably make an argument. People are going to take him over Lawrence. He's going to be over Dak. He's going to be over Kyler. He's going to be on all those like borderline 10 guys. He's going to be over Kirk.
He might be over Hurts, dude.
He's probably going to be over Jalen Hurts. I think a lot of people, recency bias as well, are going to take Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
He's going to be right there with Stroud, TBH, as like low-end top 10 quarterbacks on Monday if they win. Dude, the Stroud thing, dude, do you think people would put Stroud as like a top 5 quarterback? Do you think people would say Stroud is better than Lamar Jackson? If Stroud beats Lamar in Baltimore as a 9.5-point dog, there's going to be somebody out there that says Stroud's better than Lamar Jackson.
I'll be that guy. I'll be that person to say it.
You will.
Yeah, I will.
I can't do it yet.
I can't do it yet. I got to get another year of Stroud.
Listen,
especially if OC leaves, I need another year of Stroud.
If you're watching the eye test and you're telling me that Lamar Jackson has the arm talent of CJ Stroud, like I feel like you're lying to yourself. If you're watching the games, if you are really watching the games, a player that is dicing anybody from the pocket, who's doing it like Stroud? Who is doing it like Stroud right now?
Not many.
No,
not many.
Not Lamar Jackson.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. We could like those. It's crazy that they're this big of underdogs because there is a world where I could see both of them, both the Texans and the Packers, getting an upset win.
Agreed.
Let's try the outro music. I'm gonna keep playing the same music. Wait, Night Drive. What does it sound like? This is StreamYard built-in music. Could this be my outro music? Night Driving.
I'm digging it.
Yeah.
Well, this might be the outro music. So thank you to everyone for tuning in to episode 90, getting up there in age of Some Casual Takes. Shout out to Teo. Shout out to Donnie. Go follow them on TikTok because that's where they're at. And until Monday, when I come on here to push my narratives and continue moving forward,